Funding for this video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Hi people, welcome to the video. The concept for today is plain and simple. I got a lot of books for Christmas. I got a lot of gift cards for Christmas to spend on books. I got sent some books. We'll talk about that. And also, seeing as reading books and talking about them on the internet.com is my job, I buy them for the business. It's a business expense. So this is a few months of book accumulation. We're gonna discuss this collection today. Is this a lot of books? Absolutely. Too many books? Arguably yes. I probably don't need to explain myself to you. If you don't happen to read or collect books in the way that I read or collect books, that's totally fine. We don't judge or compare here. This is just a cozy corner of the internet where we shout into the void about the things that we love, and I love books, so here we are. But I do agree that this is a lot of books to haul at one time. Whether they were gifted or acquired over a lot of months or not, it's still a lot to tackle. In my good months, I can read over 20 books in a month, but still, my TBR is beautifully overwhelming. And so this year I am trying to instill my own type of book buying ban. And so I have made a Don't Break the Chain calendar, which is a habit tracker of sorts. There's snails on it, there's plants on it, and I uploaded that on the Patreon. If anyone would like to track their own habits, their own book buying ban, or anything of the sort, it's uploaded on Patreon as a thank you, so no matter what tier you join, that's there for you. The point is that I will not be purchasing that many books in 2023. At least that's the goal. It was a little tricky for me to navigate my own TBR tackling book buying ban of sorts. It's a ban within reasons, my reasons. I'm gonna give you my rules. You can take and leave as many rules as you want, adjust them if you want to join me, but these are the rules I'm setting for myself. The first one being, I'm allowed to buy a sequel of a book if I already own some of the series and I have read and enjoyed the earlier books in the series. The second is that if a favorite author comes out with a new book, I will be pre-ordering it and supporting them, of course. Also, for every 10 books that I read, I'm allowed to buy one book. So the math is in my favor. We'll be getting through the TBR, but still keeping reading funky fresh. Or if I get an unsurmountable itch to go book shopping, to be at a bookstore, to sniff the pages, to come home with something, I'm allowed to use the credit that I already currently have for my used bookstore from exchanging books for credit, and I can go get used books. I am allowing myself some mulligans. It is 365 days, so I'm trying to be a little realistic, trying to give myself some wiggle room, some moments of weakness. But when these moments of weakness strike, the rule is that I'm not allowed to buy more than 3 books at one time. No more big hauls this year. 3 books at a time, max. I know I love books. I know I read a lot of books. That is great and beautiful and wonderful, but I very clearly have so many great, beautiful, and wonderful stories on my TBR already. So my goal for 2023 is to make my way through that TBR so it's a little less overwhelming. Appreciate what we have, combat decision fatigue, while still staying in touch with what's fresh and happening. I hope that this is balanced. We shall see. Stay tuned. The next thing I'd like to cover really fast is that I did my best to eliminate any HarperCollins published titles. Because at the present time, the HarperCollins union is on strike. They've been on strike for over 2 months now. All they're asking for is a livable wage, which is not a wild concept. I would hope you would agree. Diversity in the workplace and in the books that they publish, and also some job security for unionized workers. All things that we fully support here. From my understanding, they would prefer that creators refrain from discussing HarperCollins titles, but they are not asking for a boycott. It's a little tricky for me because I don't live in the United States. Most, if not all, of my books come from the UK and UK publishing houses, which I learned throughout all of this that books are published by multiple publishers. For some reason, I thought it was one and done. So it is possible that some of these books you can buy through HarperCollins in the United States, but I'm not in the United States, so I just went off of what my edition says and what the internet says. I tried to cross-reference as best as I could. I have no interest in crossing the picket line, but if I made any mistakes, feel free to kindly let me know, because I do want to know. I think what's most important is that we email HarperCollins. So I will leave some resources down below. Please send them an email, ask them to meet their workers at the bargaining table, because everyone deserves a living wage. That was a whole lot of talking. Hats off to you if you've stayed. Let's dive into the book haul. I would like to first discuss books that I have pre-ordered because I'm so excited about so many releases this year. Without further ado, the first one being Tegan and Sarah's Junior High by Tilly Walden. Tilly Walden has a book that is coming out in 2023, and I'm so excited. It'll be available at the end of May, so get your pre-orders in, y'all. If you're not new to this channel, y'all know that I love Tilly Walden. She's one of my favorite graphic novel comic creators ever. This one is about Tegan and Sarah, that musical twin duo. I listened to Call It Off on repeat in my last years of high school. It's set in present day, but explores experiences that Tegan and Sarah endured in their life. It seems wholesome, but touches on some serious things as well. I don't know, we'll see. So excited. Speaking of 2023 releases and favorite graphic novel creators, Kay O'Neill, otherwise known as the maker of the Tea Dragon Society, has something coming out in a few months, and it's called The Moth Keeper. It's a magical story that follows a protagonist who decides to take a break from the moon and see the sun for the first time. It's a middle grade like everything else Kay O'Neill's ever made, but don't let that get you looking down on it, because all of Kay O'Neill's works are so meaningful and thick with thoughtful themes alongside some of the most gorgeous artwork ever. Comes out the beginning of March, so we don't have long to wait. And the final pre-order that I have for you is Page Boy by Elliot Page. This is Page's memoir that will be navigating us through his experiences in Hollywood while interrogating love and gender and mental health. This one was a no-brainer for me pre-order wise because I love me a strong memoir, but also Juno was my hyperfixation movie when I was 12, all because of Elliot's character. And even though I'm not a big celebrity keeper-upper, I really have enjoyed to see him blossom into himself, and I just truly cannot imagine what that was like to do with so many eyes on you, so I'm very much looking forward to reading his experience. I just have such high hopes that this is going to be heartbreaking but also groundbreaking. That's it for pre-orders. Up next, we're going to get into the books that my husband got me in my advent calendar. To count down the last 12 days to Christmas in 2022, my husband and I gave each other a daily gift. His were Magic the Gathering themed and mine were a book a day for 12 days. My dreams came true. The first book he got me is The 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless. This is a silly holiday rom-com type story about a woman in her 30s who kind of gives up on finding love, kind of gives up on dating, and so she gives it one last shot, joins a dating app, and goes on 12 dates. I did pick this one up and read a few pages just to see what the flavor was, and it's definitely giving Hallmark Christmas movies so bad it's good, but those are my favorite Christmas movies to watch, so this is not coming from a negative nor a judgmental place. Next, Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker. Now, I read Shauna Maguire's Middle Game in 2020, and I thought it was so much fun, but within that book, this book is constantly referenced, but it didn't exist at the time. It was fictional. And then a year later, apparently, Shauna Maguire wrote this. What this book is apparently very similar to Middle Game by Shauna Maguire in the sense that it's magical. It's about two kids who have magical powers. Speaking of which, has anybody read the sequel to Middle Game, Seasonal Fears? Because I've been very discouraged from picking it up. Apparently nobody on BookTube likes it. It could be fun to read all three at once. You know what I mean? So I would love to know your thoughts. Anyway, next is Daphne by Josh Mallerman. Now this has been on my TBR ever since watching Gabby's vlog in which she reads this book. And I don't think I would have the courage to buy this one myself. So the fact that Lauren's put it in my advent calendar is very exciting, but also horrifying because the description of the ghost person in this book, even just hearing Gabby talk about it, spooked me to my core. And so I cannot imagine reading it for myself, but I will be doing it. I'm gonna do it. Apparently this follows a high school basketball team, which I'm not a super big sports reader. It's not my thing, but apparently this says so much about anxiety and facing your fears, but it gets really spooky and I am very nervous. Next, speaking of facing your fears and receiving books that I would not purchase for myself because I'm too much of a coward, is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. If you didn't know, Ito is an infamous graphic horror manga maker. I've been not only wanting to enter my manga era, but also my Junji Ito era, and so every time I'm at a comic book shop, graphic novel shop, I pick up an Ito just to see, and it always scares me. I am a big baby boy. I'm very easily frightened. I'm very easily spooked. It just doesn't take much. I'm still not over some of the images from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark from the Scholastic Book Fair, and I'm almost 30. So I thank my husband for gifting me this because I do want to start. I want to try. I do. And now that I own it, there's no more excuses. Next, Conversations in Love by Natasha Lunn. So this is a nonfiction that's structured sort of like an interview. There are italicized questions and then Natasha explores her answers for those questions. So it's kind of like mini essays all about love, and also it's one of my best friend's favorite books from last year. So I've been meaning to give this one a scoop. It seems simple and sweet. Seems like a great book to read around Valentine's Day maybe. Next, Of Women and Salt by Gabrielle Garcia. This is another book that I've heard nothing but rave reviews for. It's a contemporary historical fiction, and just listen to this blurb I found online. A haunting meditation on the choices of mothers, the legacy of the memories they carry, and the tenacity of women who choose to tell their stories despite those who wish to silence them. Sold? Yes. Immediately, yes. This sounds like everything I love in books. Women. Learning about different places and times and situations. Women. Politics. Women. Next, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is probably the most popular book that is in the entire stack. I feel like everyone's read this on Bookstagram, Book Talk, BookTube. I've never read a Dolly Alderton, so I'm very excited to have one, to give her a shot, to get a taste of her writing. I think that this one is pretty similar to Conversations in Love in a sense that our author is just exploring what she has learned about love and relationships throughout her life. I know a lot of folks loved Ghosts by this author, and so if I like this one, I'll give that one a scoop as well. Have you read this one? Let me know. Next, A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, just so you know, this is the first of the 3 Ishiguros that are in this hot stack, so brace yourself. I loved Never Let Me Go. I read it when I was 17, and then I realized recently that the only other Ishiguro that I read is Clara in the Sun, and I've been wanting to change that. This one I've heard is the least favorite of most Ishiguro consumers, but the concept of this one and also the cover, like, come on. Just sounds so much like my thing. It's about a Japanese woman mourning the loss of her daughter who committed suicide. She's reflecting on a past friendship, and it's short, so how can you lose? You can't. Next. Oh, just kidding, we're not talking about this one. It's apparently under HarperCollins. Next. Check this one again. This one as well. Okay, caught that these ones are companies that are owned by HarperCollins. This is very confusing, but I'm trying my best. Next, Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton. This is a graphic memoir, which I love. It's one of my favorite genres of books ever. I just think it's such a creative way to tell your story. So this follows the experiences of our author as she recounts her time working in in an oil company camp of sorts. And she does this in order to pay off her student loans. I saw this one in a bookshop and just fell in love with the art style, but also the cover. There's a holographic duck. Are you kidding me? I've also heard loads of great things about this one, so I cannot wait. Okay, so that was it for the advent calendar. What a cute, sweet, and wholesome gift idea, right? However, another cute, sweet, and wholesome thing took place recently, and that is that a publisher gifted me books for the first time ever. I've said things like,
when I say book mail, I mean books that I bought with my own money. I don't know how all these people will be getting free books, so let me know.
And now I can no longer say that because I have had my eye on the book, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English, for a couple of months now. I put it on my story, and then Jessica from Graywolf Press messaged me asking to send it to me. Graywolf Press is an independent nonprofit that publishes diverse voices, and Jessica from said publishing house sent me the following 10 books. Let's talk about If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga. This is a love story that is so much more than just a love story that takes place in Cairo, Egypt, and as you can see by the tabs, I couldn't help myself. I really meant it when I said it was my top anticipated book to read this year. So I don't want to spoil anything. We'll be discussing it in the January reading review. It'll be in next week's vlog, don't worry, but just know that I thought that this was exceptionally written. Next, The Collected Schizophrenias by Esme Weijun Wang. This is a collection of essays that center around mental health and chronic illness, so right up my alley. This is another book that I've heard nothing but good things about. My bookish friends have read it, my bookish friends have loved it, and so naturally she was already on my online TBR, so when she came in this box of happy surprises, I was happily surprised. We also have Voyager by Nona Fernandez. The back of this one says that this one is about the author weaving together the story of her mother's illness with the story of her country and of the cosmos itself. Also, this one was translated by Natasha Wimmer from its original Spanish language because our author Fernandez is from Chile, and I don't think I've ever read a book by a Chilean author, so excited. Also, low pressure but packs a punch. Sign me up. Next, When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola. Look at how beautiful this cover is. Beautiful covers is the theme of this haul. I mean, anyway, it's translated by Mara Faye Letham, and it's a Spanish magical realism story that takes place in the Pyrenees Mountains. It's mythical, but the blurb online says that this was also an environmental story that animates the fierce music of the seasons. This one sounds incredible. If you've read it, I would love to hear your thoughts, without spoilers, of course. The rest of what Jessica sent me from Graywolf are all poetry collections, which is so exciting because, as you've seen over some past vlogs and reading reviews, I've been trying so hard to enter my poetry girl era, and I think I finally unlocked it. So the fact that I was gifted all of these wonderful poetry collections, I have no words. The first one is Look by Solmas Sharif, which is our author's debut poetry collection. My copy doesn't have a blurb on it, so we're gonna read the online blurb together. In this virtuosic array of poems, lists, shards, and sequences, Sheriff assembles her families and her own fragmented narratives in the aftermath of warfare. The next poetry collection is Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. These poems recount our author's personal experiences with racial aggression. Again, I think the blurb does it more justice than I can offer. You take in things you don't want all the time. The second you hear or see some ordinary moment, all its intended targets, all the meanings behind the retreating seconds, as far as you are able to see, come into focus. Hold up, did you just hear? Did you just say? Did you just see? Did you just do that? Then the voice in your head silently tells you to take your foot off your throat because just getting along shouldn't be an ambition. It sounds damn good, y'all. Next, Post-Colonial Love Poem by Natalie Diaz. I read this one is an anthem of desire against erasure. So it focuses on the diminishment of non-white bodies, and apparently each poem questions what kind of future we could have if we focused on love instead. Next are two collections by the same author, Danez Smith. We have Homie and Don't Call Us Dead. Apparently Homie centers queerness and mental health and race, but the description online emphasizes its featuring of friendship, the search for joy and intimacy. So the gorgeous juxtaposition of these concepts, these themes, just sounds breathtaking, and it's giving me Ocean Vuong energy. Writing poems of love and loss and otherness yet belonging. I could be way off, so go ahead and let me know if so. And Don't Call Us Dead follows black men in an afterlife after they were shot by police. I found a line from this one that says, some of us are killed in pieces, some of us all at once. How did I get lucky enough to be sent these books? I'm truly speechless. And the last book from Graywolf Press is Deaf Republic by Ilya Kaminsky. The back says, what happens when the citizens of a country no longer hear one another? While breaking up a protest, a soldier shoots and kills a young deaf boy, and the gunshot renders the entire town deaf. And it's poems? What? People are so creative. Those are all the books that were sent to me by Graywolf Press, and when I posted this on Instagram, basically every single comment stated how much they've enjoyed one or more of these books. So I'm just so excited for the reading year to come. We're halfway through. The following 25 books are all books that I've chosen myself and acquired over the past 3 or so months via Christmas gift cards or my own money to fuel my own poor spending habits, hyperfixations, and passions. I'm just here to let you know that some of these covers are so beautiful that you may need a jump scare warning. Don't say I didn't warn you. Hats off to these book designers. Exhibit A, this edition of Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. Now, I read 2 Murakamis. I love how he writes, hate how he writes women. I'm one of those, run for the hills. But after seeing this edition, of course, I reconsidered giving him another shot. And also because apparently he's known for his surrealist stories stories. And allegedly, most of his books are nothing like Norwegian Wood, so here we are. The only thing I know about this book is that it's about a teenage boy, question mark, but I do know that he has sex with a ghost. That is literally all that I know. Again, are you kidding me? Body Grammar by Jules Oman. Look at this, so many beautiful books. There's so many coming, there's so many. This is a coming of age sapphic love story set in the grueling world of international modeling, but it's also about grief and healing and anxieties and finding your place in the world. This sounds like everything that I love in a book. That's all. Next, The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Another book brought to you by Gabby Reads, y'all. I just gotta be honest. Honestly, it's not just Gabby Reads. The entire bookish community seems to be slutty for Ruth Ware, and any excuse to get slutty is a good excuse for me, so I hope to join you all. This particular book by Ware seems to be everyone's favorite, I think. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'd love to know your favorite Ruth Ware. But The Turn of the Key is about a woman who accepts a nannying job that seems too good to be true, and it seems that way because it is. Why are thrillers sometimes so strangely shaped? Next, Infinite Country by Patricia Engel. Another confession. I own this one because of my bookish online friend Daniel. His Instagram review made me add this to my cart and send it to my apartment immediately. No questions asked. This is a historical fiction about deportation, about immigration, and finding your place, and it takes place in Colombia. Lin-Manuel Miranda is in my thoughts right now. Colombia! This book is serious. Not now, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Me encantó. I'm trying to film a book haul. Me encantó. Anyway, next, Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I've also already read this one. This is a short translated self-help book that is based in Toltec wisdom. Apparently it's one of the top ever bought books ever. I liked it enough. There were a couple parts that rubbed me the wrong way, but I agree with the agreements. We'll talk about it next week. Next, oh my god, Dogs of Summer by Andrea Abeo. Translated by Julia Sanchez. A lot of these books are gonna be, I bought this book because of this person, because that's just how it is. This one I bought because of CJ and her book club. CJ Reads on YouTube. This is not the first book in this stack. That is because of her influence. I'm gonna let you know right now. But I've had my eyes on it ever since that book club read it. Maybe we'll read it for our book club. Let me know if you're interested after I provide the synopsis right now. It's translated from Spanish and it follows a 10-year-old girl who notices that she's growing feelings for her best friend. I love when child protagonists can provide a helpful, honest, and healing perspective. The Goodreads says that it's My Brilliant Friend meets Blue is the Warmest Color, but I haven't read either of those books. So to me, this one is emulating This One Summer by the Tamaki Cousins meets The Inseparables by Simone de Beauvoir. Two books that I quite enjoyed. Female friendship, sapphic feeling, youthful energy, and complications. Shall we read this summer for pocket pages? Let me know your thoughts. Next, speaking of sapphic, Alison Bechdel's Fun Home, a family tragic comic. I finally have it, y'all. Keep your socks on. This is one of the most top recommended books that people are always commenting that I have to read. So this is about our author Alison, obviously. It is a memoir as she comes to terms with the fact that she is gay, but as she does so, she realizes that her dad is also gay. Apparently, there are a lot of familial complications, and I know that I'm so late to the game, but I have my ticket for the bandwagon. Choo choo, sign me up. I'm hopping on. Don't you fret. Next, No Exit by Taylor Adams. Picture this. You are a college student on your way to visit your dying mother, and you notice a child in a car that has been kidnapped. What do? How do you handle that situation? I love confinement in stories, you know, like Phone Booth or Panic Room, those two movies. It sounds so good. I'm buddy reading this one with my bookish friend Sarah, and I'm so excited. I can imagine that I will be reading this in one sitting, because that's how it usually goes with thrillers. Next, Gleanings, Story from the Arc of a Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Did you know that this existed? Because I did not. I found it in a bookstore and recognized the art style, and that's how I found out that there's another book from the Scythe trilogy. How exciting. The Scythe trilogy is a dystopic series about a future where people aren't dying from natural causes anymore, and so we follow these two characters who are drafted in a way to become scythes or grim reapers and kill people, and this scythe job is overall understood and accepted by the society. It's just such a unique concept, and just that world and idea has stuck with me since I read it. It seems like little vignettes to revisit this space, and I'm jazzed.
You like jazz?
Next, They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurraqib. Now this one is thanks to Sally's influence. These are poems slash essays slash poetic essays that focus on race and politics and understanding, and apparently it's just so well written. Even outside of Sally herself, I've heard nothing but good things about this book. So excited to have it on my TBR shelf. Next. Bodywork by Melissa Febos. Okay, so the reason for this one is that I recently read Unmasking Autism, and within it there was an emphasis on personal narrative. How you recount and retell experiences in your life. Not to just people around you, but to yourself. So naturally I went online and I found a book that covered this topic. I did find a 365-day personal narrative workbook that I am interested in doing someday, but I picked this one up first because I think that this will provide a nice, helpful framework of understanding that'll help me tackle my own personal narrative reworking. So this book is considered a masterclass, but also a memoir and psychologically insightful. So it seems all too appropriate. It's rated so highly online. It's a book that respects your time. We love that here. Next, These Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. This is about a man named Cooper who lives in isolation isolation in the woods, and he's been doing so for 8 years with his young daughter. And there's a man who brings them rations and supplies for survival, but one day that man doesn't show up. Apparently this is a mystery thriller, but also apparently it's so much more than just that. The reviews for this one, people have very big emotions. They are so shocked at what it had to offer. A lot of people are crying. I genuinely have no idea what to expect. I have a feeling that I'm not ready. Next, A Minor Chorus by Billy Ray Belcourt, another one of CJ's influence books. Now, I've read A History of My Brief Body by Billy Ray Belcourt, and I loved it so much. I think that this author has such a way with words. Apparently this one is a queer contemporary fiction about our protagonist who's battling in balancing their new urban academic life with their childhood on a reservation. Since I love the poetry collection so much, I'm certain I'll love this one too. Next, Devotions by Mary Oliver. Again, keep your socks on. I finally got Mary Oliver. This alongside Alison Bechdel's graphic memoir are the two books that everyone screeches at me from the rooftops to read. And you know what? Y'all nailed it with this one, because as you can see, couldn't help myself here and read this as well. So this is every single poem that Mary Oliver has ever written for decades. Each one is so slow and nature-centered, and I just loved it so much. Thank you so much for recommending this one to me. Speaking of, I also got Upstream by Mary Oliver because this is also a highly recommended one. These are selected essays from Oliver, and this one also made it to Sally's top books of 2022, so I have no doubts. I just love a book that can slow me down. I love a book that focuses on the little beautiful prizes that the earth offers us every single day. Fuck yeah, that's all I can say. Next, Hidden Pictures by Jason Recollect. So not only did this one win Best Horror on Goodreads, but it's been on my radar since the summer, and I'm so excited to finally have it because this one holds the... I'm just talking about it. I'm scared. Because this one holds the trope of adult can't see the spooky thing, only the kid can see the spooky thing, and also the kid keeps drawing spooky pictures of the spooky thing. That trope gets me every time. Like I said, big poopy diaper baby. And this book includes pictures of the kids' illustrations. They're not just being described by words. Like, the little sketchy, scary ass things are in here. I am not prepared. This book and the next book are two that I ordered from the United States because the covers are so superior. Like, look at this. What a beautiful color palette. Oh, how nice. There's a shovel for the eye, little moon for the sea. Oh, how spooky. There's a man digging a hole using the lights of his car. Like, this is an inspired cover. And then there's this. So yeah, I got this one from the US. I also got the Book of Goose from the US. Look at this cover. This is easily, I'm not kidding, my favorite cover that I've ever seen for a book. This is it. This is the best cover in the entire world. Who did this? Abby Kagan? You legend. Yes, we ordered her from the United States. We paid a little bit of extra shipping, and here she is. But the best part is that I saw this book in a bookshop, opened it up, read some lines, and the inside seems just as gorgeous as the outside. It's about female friendship, which is my favorite thing to read about. And it's also a historical fiction that takes place in France, apparently. I cannot wait to read this one this year. This is gonna be prominently displayed in my space until I die. Next, speaking of gorgeous covers, Elsewhere by Alexis Shaitkin. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We are blessed. This is a dystopic sci-fi, so oh my god, if I read this year, I get a point for Sally and Alex's 2023 readathon. That's so besides the point. We've been filming forever. The links are down below, don't worry, you can partake too. This is another book about motherhood. Apparently takes place in an isolated community. It's giving me midsummer vibes. Next, Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. Sapphic horror, unlikable characters, haunted house, gothic. Yes, just a few left. Aquarium by Yara Shahori. Another gorgeous cover. There are so many beautiful books. I feel so lucky. I am so grateful. I'm so happy. I love books. This book is translated from Hebrew by Todd Lasik Glawi. It takes place in Israel and follows two deaf sisters who grow up with deaf parents in isolation. And we explore the earth-shattering consequences that unfold when that isolation comes to an end. Okay, let's discuss the two other Kazuo Ishiguro books that I bought. Never Let Me Go, because it didn't make it to Belgium somehow. I've considered it a favorite, and it's been the only book missing from my favorite shelf. I definitely need to give it a reread. It's been 10 years, but this is a story about three friends, but it's so much more than that. It's dystopic. The twist still has me thinking to this day. But what impressed me the most is this book's way of balancing looming doom with a subtle softness. I still can't put it into words. So I'm happy to own this one again and stoked to give it a reread. It's been too long. Next Ishiguro book I bought was The Remains of the Day, which is apparently everyone's favorite Ishiguro book. If you have a different one, I'd love to know. I fell down a rabbit hole. I watched a 25-minute video at the gym by Reader and Reverie who ranked every single Ishiguro book, and according to them, this is the it book.
Editing Alley from the future here. This actually wasn't Reader and Reverie's favorite. They had another first favorite, but I already own that favorite. I know that nobody's here to grade me, but I'm grading me, so. specified.
But this one doesn't provide too much of what it's about. I guess we follow a butler on a 6-day journey and he ponders a bunch of stuff. I did so much digging to try and get the cover that matches all the other Ishiguro books, but apparently is not available anywhere. It is going to drive me nuts that every other book is going to be this style, except for this one. It happens. Let's go fast. The camera's dying. We have Glory by No Violet Bulueo. I have this book because, and this has just been so cute to do, because I'm realizing how influenced I am by this wonderful bookish community, all my wonderful friends in this cozy corner of the internet. So thank you everyone for being my friend, because this is so nice. I feel like the Grinch. My heart is doing that thing. But this one I have because of Alana, otherwise known as Black Stacks on YouTube. I watched her recent TBR video and this was included in it. This is an Animal Farm retelling if Animal Farm took place in Zimbabwe. My edition isn't in the best state ever. She's a little folded, she's a little ripped, she's a little damaged, but aren't we all? Have I read Animal Farm? No. Do I know what Orwellian means? Yes. Is that enough to understand and enjoy this book? Maybe. Next, The Seas by Samantha Hunt. Another TJ Reads made me buy it. I'm just easily swayed by cool bookish people online, okay? Another fucking phenomenal cover. Like, you have to be kidding me. There are too many beautiful books on this world. So this is a magical realism story that takes place in a small town. It's from a child's perspective and this child believes that she is a mermaid. And apparently somehow it is also creepy and poetic. So this was a no-brainer for me to have on my shelf. I think that this one has favorites potential. I really do. And last but not least, the final book that I've acquired over the past 3 months is An Immense World by Ed Young. Now, this is a nonfiction, presents exactly what it promises, how animal senses reveal the hidden realms around us. I love reading about phenomenology. I love reading about subjective experiences, but animal phenomenology? Sign me up twice. The monkey edition of this book is very adorable, but this edition with the little ring of animals is so beautiful. Couldn't be more excited. And that's it. We did it. We got through all 50 books, minus 2 of those 50 because we're trying to be good. So thank you to my kind husband. Thank you to my kind family. Thank you to this kind publishing house, Graywolf Press. Much love to you. And also me for being kind to myself because we embark on our passions without judgment in this house. Have you read any of these books? Did you love any of these books? Did you add any of these to your TBR after watching this video? Go ahead and release all of your emotions in the comments below. I check them every day. And thank you to everyone on patreon.com who grant me the honor and the privilege of reading books to be my job. Y'all are the real ones. I still don't make any money from AdSense, so it's truly because of y'all that this keeps going the way that it is. I'm gonna head out. Don't worry all you vlog lovers. We've got another one next week. And as always, thank you for clicking, thank you for caring, and thank you for being nice. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!